Hi everybody, welcome to today's recap. It is the finale. We have made it to round 11 and these are our standings. Let's just jump right in. Vaishali yesterday clutched the first candidate spot. So today all she needs is a draw. And if she draws, she wins the tournament. For the other spot though, for the second candidate spot, it's a huge running. Okay, so let's break it down. Anna Mozichuk already qualified. So she's in second place in terms of like prize money and stuff like that. But in terms of the candidate spot, it's between Batriag Mungontul, who she's going to be playing Vaishali today. And if she wins, she gets that candidate spot. If she draws and somebody else wins, then it goes to tie breaks. And speaking of tie breaks, we have Lea Garafolina. She has the best odds for tie breaks. So we have 4 players with 6.5. Those players are also fighting for spots. Lea Garafolina, if she wins and Munguntul draws, Garafolina gets the spot. If Tanjanyi wins and nobody else with 6.5 wins and Munguntul draws or loses, Tanjanyi wins because she has the better tie breaks with 24-45. So huge day. Let's see what happens. Let's jump into the first game. I gotta show y'all, it's between Vaishali and Munguntul. Munguntul is gonna be playing with the white pieces. If she wins today, she guarantees that spot. So she's in a must-win situation. If she draws, she puts it in somebody else's hands if she's gonna get that spot. Let's see what happens. All right, so first game, we have Munguntul with the white pieces versus Vaishali. Vaishali has already clutched that candidate spot, and with the draw today, she will win the tournament. If Munguntul wins, she will get the candidate spot. If she draws, it's in somebody else's hands of who's going to get that spot. So let's start it off. We see a Roy Lopez, and then we go into this line of where castles, h6, rook e1, and g5 from Vaishali. And I think this is a very nice move. Basically just saying, hey, maybe you castled a little bit too early. And now I'm going to try and take advantage of it. Very provocative opening from Vaishali, who she only needs a draw today, so she can play pretty safe, but maybe she wants that win. So, okay, d4, striking the center, g4, and now knight moves out of the way. We get a trade of knights, and now d takes e5 and castles queenside. After e6, we get f takes, queen takes g4, we get a trade of queens, and now black's central pawns are pretty flexible. We see h5 attacking the rook moves to e4, d5 attacking the rook again, rook to e1, and look at white's kingside pieces. They're just kind of like sitting there. They still need to develop. We see bishop to d6, bishop to g5, attacking the rook with tempo and developing a piece. Rook goes to f8, sliding out of the way of the bishop. We see knight to d2, developing, knight to e5, bishop takes d7 check, king takes, h4. I love this move, just saying, hey, I am not going to be moving my bishop if your rooks ever come to the g-file. I am just going to defend my bishop and hold the line. Knight d3, attacking the rook and the pawn on b2, and rook e2. Say here Vaishali decides to take on b2. This can get a little bit wild. After knight to e4, with the discovered attack on the knight, even though this knight is under fire, after knight a4 from Vaishali, then this is under attack, and it's not sure what, also this is under attack, it's not sure what white is supposed to do here. If she plays knight to f6 check after king slides somewhere, rook takes e6 and knight takes c3, and this just looks better for black because look at her pawn structure as well as she's up a pawn. Also back here, if she decides to take like this, after say here, and she decides to take and not play knight to a4, then just rook takes b2, and it's kind of just fine for white because she's going to have some targets to be able to attack, even though isolated pawn, and Vaishali is still up a pawn, so it's not too clear. I think that this, just going over here is going to be a lot better though. It keeps the advantage, but we don't see this. We see instead after rook e2, we see just e5. She doesn't play knight takes b2. Now we see b4, b5 saying, no, let's lock up the structure. Knight to b3, e4, rook d1. White's f and g pawns are honestly not doing much. And whereas black just has a really nice center. So if anything, black is going to be having all of the positional advantages. So we see c6, very nice, locking up the queenside structure and allowing the bishop to just, reroute through them if needed. Knight d4, knight e5, and a4. saying, I'm about to open up the queen side and I'm finally going to try and get my rooks into the game. Whoever gets control of the A file will be very happy. We see rook f7, a takes b5, a takes b5, and rook a1. After rook c8, we see now rook a7 check, and white finally has a better position. I don't think she's had this good of a position since maybe 20 moves ago. And so finally she gets a better position. We see a block, rook a8, threatening mate in 1 right here. Vaishali defends with c8. Say if she played c5, then, there'd just be the mate. But we see rook c8, rook a7 check, and we see a repetition. And then rook a8 again, rook c8. And now Munguntul plays rook e to a2 and accepts the draw from Vaishali. So, kind of crazy. Munguntul accepts the draw, and now her fate in the candidates is up to the other players who have a half a point behind her. So, Vaishali, though, clinches first place with this draw, and she's the winner of the Grand Swiss. Let's see, though, who's going to be getting that other candidate spot. This next game is between Grandmaster Pia Kramling and Grandmaster Anna Mozichuk. Pia Kramling, coming out of nowhere, she used to be one of the best women in the world in chess, maybe 40 years ago. And look at her fighting for a candidate spot. I believe she's in her 60s. That's amazing. So congratulations to her for being up there with the top dogs. Hell yeah, I love that for her. Today, if she beats Anna Mozichuk and everybody else who has the same score as her loses, I believe she gets the candidate spot. So it is a must-win situation for her, as well as she needs other things in other games to go her way as well. Let's see what happens. We have Pia with the white pieces. We see knight to f3, d5, d4, knight f6, and this turns into a semi-Slav out of the queen's gambit. And we see a trade of d for c pawns. We get queen takes c4, b5, attacking the queen. Why not? She's out there. Queen d3, a6, e4, and now c5. And this is the best move in the position. However, it is going to lead to a queen trade. And now after bishop takes c5, e5, attacking the knight, we get knight f to d7, rerouting, as well as attacking the e-pawn, which is going to become a target for black to try and snag. Because it's just kind of out there by itself and all of the white pieces are going to have to try and defend it. We see bishop f4, defending that pawn, bishop b7, bishop to e4, blocking because she does not want the trade of bishop for knight on f3, knight to c6, attacking that pawn, rook c1, h6, h4, rook c8, king e2, stepping up, why not? I mean, there's no queens on the board, you don't need to castle. King e7, doing the same thing. Both players bring their rooks to the d file. After a3, bishop backs up because she knew b4 was coming, which it does. Bishop readjusts to aim at that e5 pawn. h5, trying to lock up the king side. Knight b6, rook takes. We get a trade of rooks with the knight, and then we get a trade of bishops. And now a4 and rook c4, and now bishop to e3. And at this point, Anna has a better position, so Pia is basically going to try to hold a draw now. After knight takes a4, knight takes, rook takes c1, we get a trade of rooks, and now the knights are off the board. King d3, and she's like, all right, I'm just going to walk on over there. Knight d8, trying to reroute to come into c6. We get king c4, knight c6, attacking the e-pawn as well as the b-pawn. We get b5. And after this trade and this trade, now the king is a little bit far away from the action. It is a 4v3 on the king side, and Anna's king is a little bit closer, and she's also up a pawn. So it's a lot better for black. We see f5, though. And after f5, the king walks in, and now eventually the players are able to trade off bishops, and it's just a 3v3. And in this position, the game was declared a draw. So Pia Kramling out of the running, unfortunately. Anna Mozichuk definitely is taking second place. Let's see who's going to get that third spot. Also, while this was all going down, Leia Garifullina, if she won her game with white, she was going to make the candidates because Batriag got a draw and she needed a win. And so if they would have had the same score, Garifullina would have had the better tiebreaks. But Garifullina made a draw in 15 moves. So I'm not even going to show y'all that game because it literally was just a 15 move repetition. It's also her birthday. I'm not sure what happened. She just gave her candidate hopes up to someone else. It's now up to whatever happens in the other games to see if she gets that spot. I don't know what was going on. She basically just took a quick draw, and she needed that win. If she would have won, she would have made it to the candidates. So I'm really not sure what happened with that, but it opens up the door to other players. All right, so as it stands, with the rest of the games going how they have, if Tanzania beats Gunay Mamadziada in this game, she gets the candidate spot because her tie breaks are better than Munguntul's. So let's see what happens. We have Tanzania with the white pieces. She plays e4. This is a surprise. She is not an e4 player. I love this. She's going for a switch up on her opponent, trying to get her out of prep, and also trying to play a more attacking style. We see c5, a Sicilian, and an open Sicilian at that. So it's going to be a fight. We see after e5, knight reroutes to b3, bishop e6, and after a trade of minor pieces, we get knight b to d7, queen d2, g6, castle's queen side, bishop g7, and castle's king side. So opposite side castling for both players. And after g4, saying she's just going to open up that king side. Why not? Throw the pawns down. Let's go. Her king's on the other side of the board. Knight b6, bishop g5, and h4. Basically, Mamadziada is like, I cannot afford to have the g file open up. I would rather give you this pawn than have my g file open up. So Tanzania is like, all right, free pawn. Sounds good to me. Rook f to c8, doubling up on the c file. We get a trade of bishop for knight. And after h4, here come the pawns. Oh, but maybe here comes black's pawns too. g5, bishop backs up. h5, here they come. Oh, but here comes black's with a4 attacking the knight. Knight goes back to a1. Look at that knight. What is it doing? It is defending c2, but oh god, what a terrible knight. a3, and she's like, no way. b3, I'm going to try and just lock it up and attack you and hope that my king is going to be okay. G takes h5, and now Tanzania plays bishop to h3. And this is actually a completely losing move. She's attacking the rook. However, black has queen to c3, and she would be threatening mate. And after this trade, all endgames are going to be better for black. Because of this horrible knight on a1, it's just always going to be a problem piece. It is not really going to be a piece at all. White is just going to be kind of be playing a piece down. And so all endgames are going to favor black in this regard. Gunay does not find this move though. She does not play queen to c3. She plays instead rook to f8, just getting out of the way, but this is a little bit too slow, and now the advantage swings back to Tanzania. And now Tanzania gets to play what she's been waiting to play, c4, and the white knight is going to reroute and try and get into this game. e4, opening up this beautiful sniper of a bishop. F takes e4, queen to e7, and now knight to c2. She's attacking this pawn. Her knight is finally being able to come into the game. Queen to e5, and I think what Gunay missed here was queen to d4, blocking the mate that was on b2, and now queen to g3, opening up here. However, there's rook d3, counterattack, and after a trade of queens, we get bishop to e5 attacking the rook, and rook to f3, and white just has an overwhelming center, and the a8 rook is always going to be tied down to this pawn, and the knight on ct is always going to be attacking this pawn. And now lots of stuff is going to come into the position. This pawn is going to fall. The bishop's going to come in to probably here eventually, maybe here for now. This pawn's going to try and march down the board. Let's see what happens. f6, rook g1, king to f7, g6, check, king g7, and after knight e3, Gunay resigned because knight to f5 is coming. Bishop is coming over here to aim this way. The rook has a very nice presence. The pawn is going to march down, and this is just a completely winning position for white. Tanzania wins the game, and she secures her candidate spot. She secures her candidate spot. Let me say it again. And that was it. That was the game. That was it. That's crazy. Whew. What a game for Tan Zhongyi. Oh my god, just a very nice game. After a thrilling round 11, this is how the dust settled. We had Vaishali in clear first with 8.5 points. We have Anna Muzichuk in clear second with 8 points. Tan Zhongyi tied with Munguntul for 4th place. However, by 3 points, Tan Zhongyi had the better tiebreak and she gets the candidate spot. And also up for grabs in this tournament were 3 Grand Prix spots, which Munguntul does get. However, just 3 points off from getting a candidate spot. Must be a heartbreaking, draw for her today. But that's the way the dust settled. Vaishali, Tan Zhongyi through to the candidates as well as Adam Muzichuk prior to this tournament. And yeah, that was it. The 2023 Women's Grand Swiss concluded. Congratulations to Vaishali for her beautiful tournament. What an amazing tournament she had. She is on form playing beautiful chess. Thank you guys so much for watching this series and coming along with me for this tournament. It has been a pleasure to recap these games. It really means a lot to me having you guys support me doing these recaps. They are a ton of work and it means everything to me that you guys enjoy the videos. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching during this series. And y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye. I'll see you in the next series.